Okay, that's fascinating. There's something you talk about in this book about behavioral manipulation.
Yeah.
I thought was a really interesting point. And I was wondering if you could talk about what you mean by that.
Right. I had to single out Richard Thaler, who won the Nobel Prize, and Cass Sunstein, who was Obama's right hand on regulatory affairs, for special criticism here. They were the co-authors of a book called Nudge. And Nudge is sort of the Bible of how you apply the insights of behavioral psychology to economic decision making. And I'm all for behavioral psychology. That's a real science. The experiments are ingenious. They're repeatable. The data holds up very well. We have enormous insights into cognitive biases, which we all have. I have, you have them, so does everybody else. So that's good science. My problem is the application of the science. It's like, you know, splitting the atom was good, but the atom bomb, you know, a little problematic. So what Thaler and Sunstein and others have done is to say, okay, so we know what people's biases are, but they're kind of unconscious of them themselves. So we can engage in something called choice architecture, that's their term, where we can design insurance applications, employment forms, brochures, information, etc., to manipulate people into certain choices which they might not otherwise have made. And the classic example, there are many, but I'll give you the classic example. So you've just been hired in a new job, and you're filling out your employee work forms on the first day, and you come to a page and they say, we have a 401k. That's a tax-deferred savings plan in the US. I'm sure there's an equivalent in UK and other countries. We have a 401k plan. Here's a brochure if you'd like to know more. Would you like to join? And you can check yes or no, free choice. And only about 25% of the people join. Okay, but if I change the question and I say, we have a 401k plan, here's the brochure. You are automatically enrolled. Would you like to opt out? Only about 20% of the people opt out. In other words, you can take the participation rate, round numbers, from 20% to 80% just by changing the question, even though everyone has a free choice in every instance. It turns out people just don't like to check boxes. People don't like to fill out forms. And this is, you know, so opting into something is laborious mentally. Opting out of something is laborious. So if I put you in it against your will, but give you an opt-out, you won't check it and you're in. So this is the kind of thing where, hey, we can get participation rates of 20%. Isn't that wonderful? And my question is it wonderful? Who says you're smarter than everybody else? Who says that's the right result? You're an arrogant PhD professor manipulating people's biases to force them into choices that may prove disastrous. Who do you think you are? And then I go through many, many other examples.
And this is happening in what industries? And
every industry.
Okay.
Insurance, savings, employment. You know, and I'm just focusing on the financial side, but there are many, many things.
So some of the other advice you give is that we need to be very careful about those decisions we're making.
Correct. And I give an example when I did the math and everything where I have, you know, Susie and Joe, I guess I call them, and you know, the women are always smarter, so I make Susie the smart one. And but Joe gets to manipulate a form and joins the 401k and starts putting. And bear in mind, it's tax deferred. So if you made $100, Joe gets to put $100 in the 401k, but Susie's got to pay, you know, $30 in taxes. She only puts 70 in. So Joe's already got a head start with his 100 versus Susie's 70. But in my example, Joe buys a diversified portfolio of stocks and Susie buys gold. And I started in 2000 and I ended in 2018 whenever I finished the math. And they both retire, they both take a payout, they pay their taxes, settle up, and Susie wins. Susie has a higher return. By skipping the 401k and investing exclusively in gold, which I don't recommend, I recommend 10% in gold, but I was trying to prove a point. And people can say, well, yeah, but gold was low in 2000, you picked your entry, exit points. Yeah, but it also had the greatest bear market in history from 2011 to 2015. So it's not like I, you know, sugar-coated or cherry-picked the entry-exit points. I say in the book, yeah, you can play games with this and everybody can. That's not my point. My point is that who says Thaler is so smart that he should force you into a 401k, whether you like it or not, by manipulating your cognitive biases. And so that's one of, there are many dangers I point out, but that's one of them.
Yeah, it's a great point. I've had some high-level marketing and advertising people in here that have talked about the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
You sit down at a table at a restaurant, what do you want? Red or white wine? It's like, who said I wanted wine?
Right.
But you obviously have to make a choice, and all of a sudden your bill is this, and the margins are this, and these are everywhere in our life. But we don't realize them.
Correct. So the starting place is education. Be aware of your biases, and then you can start to fight back. But most people aren't, and I understand that. Most people are not. But I had a really interesting conversation with Dan Ariely, who was...
Yeah, I had him here, actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. So you know Dan, brilliant guy, you know his whole backstory. And he's, I would say after Kahneman and Tversky passed away, but after Kahneman and Tversky, I would rank Ariely as the third leading behavioral psychologist. I'd rank him above Thaler and Sunstein, even though, of course, they're brilliant and very good. And I had a private conversation. I said, Dan, this is extremely powerful stuff. You know it, I know it. And they do consulting, and he does church architecture consulting. I said, how do you choose your clients? So what happens if a neo-fascist dictator walks in and says, I'd like your help manipulating my population in my country here? And there are those people, and they do ask that question. And Dan, to his credit, gave the best answer I've heard, but kind of not good enough. But to his credit, he said, well, my test is I don't work for money if I wouldn't do it for free. In other words, if I find you, repugnant or offensive or neo-fascist or whatever, you can't pay me enough to work for you. And so if I wouldn't do it for free, I won't do it for pay if you're a bad guy. And I thought, well, okay, credit for trying and having a filter, and that's not a bad one, but it subjects you to your own cognitive biases. Well, what's your definition of a bad guy? Maybe he has a pretty good definition, but some people don't. Are there people who favor fascists? Of course there are. Are there people who would do it for money? Of course there are. So this genie's out of the bottle, and we have to be. I was just trying to make people aware of it, so they can A, think for themselves, and B, spot cases where maybe, as you say, would you like red or white wine? I was like, well, maybe I don't. It's a good example.
Hi, Brian Rose here, founder and host of London Real. If you've ever wondered what's going on behind government's closed doors and how do insiders capitalize on hidden moves triggered by these secret decisions, then I have something you need to see. Jim Rickards is a former CIA operative and world economics expert. He and I recently sat down to discuss all of this on London Real. And now he's sharing a 15-year-old government secret, one that could legally put thousands of dollars in your pocket.
After 15 years of secrecy, I'm revealing the sensitive information on camera.
He's giving London Realers exclusive access to this private broadcast, where he'll go on camera and reveal all the details behind a secret that could affect thousands of people, starting this coming week.
Simply put, the brief revealing video below could change how you think of me. I hope you understand. Click below to see it.
All you have to do is click the link below or go to londonreal.tv/Jim and sign up. Then we will send you all the details to gain access. It's totally free, but if you don't sign up, you'll never see it. And because of the nature of this event, you'll understand why Jim can't keep it online forever. So don't miss your chance to find out the secret and potentially make profits from it. Click the link below and I will see you at the free training.